Now here's the formula again. A person takes knowledge and information and combines it in a new way. And here is why I think it's such wonderful times we are living in. Because if, for a creativity person, if this is the definition of one idea, then the number of ideas should equal the number of people times the knowledge and information they have access to. Make sense? Right? And as we saw in the video before here, the number of people in the world is rapidly exploding. Before you die, when you were born, we were 3 billion people. When you die, we'll be 9 billion people. So there's an explosion of people. There's also an explosion of knowledge. Compare how many people went to university 100 years ago in the world with how many people went to university 20 years ago in the world. Compare that to how many people are going or will go to university the next 10 to 15 years. And that is exploding much faster than the growth of people. So P is exploding, K is exploding. How about I? Access to information. Has the access to information increased in the world the last 15 years? Yes, it's called the internet. So if this is a formula, if P increases a lot, K increases a lot, I increases a lot, what should happen to the number of ideas? It is going to explode, and it is exploding. I met a professor in India. He is in charge of the Indian version of the university of the robo soccer building competition. Are you aware of this concept? University students build robots to compete with other robots playing soccer, right? 10 years ago, there were 9 Indians competing to build robots to play soccer. 10 years later, 15,000 Indians. Do you think that might influence how quickly the robot industry is going to expand when we suddenly have a few tens of thousands more people who know how to build robots? Of course. This means that the speed of innovation is increasing. If we thought the last 10, 15, 20 years were fast, it's nothing compared to how fast the next 10 to 15 years will be when it comes to innovation. One of the people I interviewed was the guy who's in charge of the R&D department of Google in China. He said every time that the founders of Google come to China, they say, don't let what you're doing research on now, don't let the impossible stop you, because what we are doing at Google today was impossible when we started Google only 10 years ago. Now, of course, that impossible things become possible is not something new. That's always been true. Just look, but we tend to forget it. So let's look at something that was impossible when you were born, but now suddenly has become possible. This is 50 years old. This is, like Dick Tracy, Star Trek. This is science fiction. Imagine if you could have a telephone inside your watch with no cable. Cool, huh? 50 years later, here it is. When I go to China, I show this picture. The Chinese say, why is it so big? Why no color screen, huh? 50 years ago. Imagine if we could have a robot that would clean the home for us so that the woman didn't have to clean it. That's impossible. Now that a man should start cleaning, it's still impossible. But 50 years later, here is the robot. Electrolux, Swedish actually. And I was recently in Sweden, and I showed this picture to a few R&D people, and one man, he raised his hand and he said, excuse me, Fredrik, which one is the robot? And he wasn't kidding. It was not a joke. He was working in robot development, and he said, if you go to a robot exhibition 2009 and you show that little red thing, they are going to laugh you out of the room. But if you go and show her, they might get interested. And that is before 15,000 Indians who are now practicing to build robots are starting to join the party. What will robots look like 10 years from now, when this one already exists? Here's another one. 100 years ago, what if in the future we might be able to build houses that are 50 stories high? That's impossible, but it would be super cool. And it was 100 years ago. But it's not anymore. Not that we couldn't build 50 stories. We are now building 100 stories. Next door, Malaysia. And just when we got used to the idea of buildings that are 500 meters high, here comes Dubai and builds 300 meters more. Just 10 years after we built 500 meters, we are now building 800 meters. And in Abu Dhabi, they are still planning a new house, which is called the Mile High Building, 1.6 kilometers high building. Twice the size of the largest building in the world right now. And I can go on and on and on. It doesn't matter which industry I come to, they all say, you can't imagine what is happening with innovation right now. And don't let the financial downturn fool you. Remember the dot-com bust. 2000, internet explosion for 5 years, and then total bubble bust. And everyone thought the internet died. Well, it didn't. Googles were 2 years old when the dot-com bubble came. Facebook came after the bubble. The internet continued to evolve. Human creativity will continue to evolve. It is, we are not just seeing it as much. That means that the value of idea perception becomes more important, especially for project managers. Idea perception is a specific kind of creativity. It is your ability not to invent something, but just to be able to see and understand what someone else has invented. It is 4 phases in idea perception. Phase 1, see that someone has invented something. Read about it, hear about it, go to a conference, find out about it. Now we can do this. Okay, cool. Second phase, understand what it means. Okay, so we have this new technology now. That means we can do this. 3, understand how this will change your business, your project, your environment. If we suddenly can do this, then shit, this is going to happen. And then 4, understand how you need to change and do that change. Use idea perception on the global downturn. When did you understand that shit, it's going to be a global downturn? What date? It was on the Business Week on the front cover 2 years ago that the housing bubble in America is going to blow up. But when did you suddenly understand this is going to happen? 2, when did you understand that this is happening, therefore this and this and this is going to happen? And then 3, if this and this and this is going to happen, then we need to do this. And 4, when did you do that? And the biggest problem for most is number 4. I saw it coming, I knew it was going to happen, I know we needed to do this, but we did it too late. If you have great idea perception, the last 18 months have been the best in history for you. But most people didn't. I think idea perception will become more valuable in the future, and I do believe that some people are better at having this than others. And that's what I want to have my second part of this speech about.